Hello and welcome to Star Talk. I am Anya Star with you today, accompanied by Galileo Galilei, a renowned astronomer that we have brought back from his lifetime through time travel. Today we will be discussing the formation and life cycle of stars. And we will be taking questions from the audience. And here is our star, Galileo Galilei.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to meet you. And I would be honored to teach you all that I know from my own studies and all I have learned about stars with your laboratories and new technology.
Great, so let's kick this off. Our first question comes from a little girl named Anya, who lives in Canada. Her question is, where do baby stars come from?
That is an excellent question. You see, there are many different phases in the life of a star, but it all starts with the nebula. The nebula is a great astronomical object composed of dust and gases. Its gravitational pull causes it to collapse in on itself to become a hot, dense core. This becomes a star.
Fascinating. Go on.
The star that is formed in the nebula will either become a high-mass star or a low-mass star. Its journey through life will depend upon that.
How so? Is there a difference between the phases the star goes through depending on if the star is high or low mass?
Why, yes, there is quite a difference between the life cycle of the two stars.
Could you go into detail?
Certainly. If a high-mass star is formed, it goes through a few more phases than a low-mass star. Now, after staying a high-mass star for a period of time, the star will become a main sequence star. Stars spend most of their time in this phase. One very well-known main sequence star is our Sun. Next in the cycle is a red supergiant. These stars are much bigger than the main sequence stars, but are less dense and aren't very hot considering their enormous size. After staying in the phase of a supergiant for a while, the star will undergo a mass explosion to become a supernova. The supernova will then become either a neutron star or a black hole. And that is the life of a high-mass star.
Well, that took a long time. We'll be right back talking about the life cycle of a low-mass star. This is a message from our sponsor Star Travels.
Would you like to go on a vacation that's out of this world?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, too bad. It's probably too expensive for you, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. With Star Travels you can go on a trip to anywhere in the entire Milky Way. Some of our more popular destinations include HE 1523, which is one of the oldest stars in our galaxy. ETA Carinae is a must-see, as it is thought to be the brightest star in the Milky Way. Don't forget your sunglasses. And you can't miss the beautiful Orion Nebula. Or go to all of the hot spots in our galaxy with our amazing package deals. To book a trip, call 1-888-888-8888 or log on to startravels.com.
And we are back with Galileo Galilei speaking about the life cycle of stars. Now, earlier you described to us the life of a high-mass star. Could you tell us about the life of a low-mass star?
I would be delighted to. The first stage of a low-mass star is a main sequence star. The star will stay in this phase most of its life. When this stage is over, the main sequence star will blow up into a red giant. A red giant is not as large as a supergiant, but is much larger than a main sequence star. The last stage of a low-mass star is a white dwarf. White dwarfs are much smaller than any other type of star, but are also extremely dense and hot.
Thank you for enlightening us. That was an immensely interesting lesson. Now, I think we have time for one last question. And I have a question myself.
Go ahead.
About how long does a star live?
That depends on the size of the star. To simply put it, if a star is larger it will use up all of its energy quicker than a smaller star would. So, the lifetime of a star could greatly vary. For example, a star the size of our Sun would live about 10 billion years, while a star that weighs 20 times the Sun lives only 10 million years.
Thank you, Galileo. And I shall see you all next week on Star Talk.